Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode is another classic episode where I'm going to go through fan letters, okay? And letters that are written at this time. So, again, before we begin, don't forget to go down below, click like, and click subscribe. We're on my goal to hit the 2,000 subscriber mark. So, again, about half of you guys, haven't subscribed yet. So, please, if you haven't done, just go down, just click that red button, subscribe. It really help out. All right, and also I've now fully updated the archive database for the history of fan anime. So again, if you're looking for what basically I've done is I've basically taken all the episodes I've written and I've put them into a database and formed them into like a book-like format, so that say for example you're looking for episodes about music, then all the episodes about music I've put in one spot. If you're looking for episodes about where I go through art books or something or whatever, I've got those in one spot. If you're looking for suggestions for what to watch and that kind of stuff, I'm starting to break down all my suggestions for like the my anime list and that kind of stuff, all in one little section, so that you can see the links and you hit them all in a row as if you're like reading a book, right? So again, that's a good resource material. Link is below. Have a look. It's a pretty detailed spreadsheet. All right. Anyway, so today's episode, I want to get into doing more stuff about fan letters. Now, again, this is I've got a whole bunch of letters and that kind of stuff where people have sent me requesting tapes, or if I'm sending them letters, seeing what they have in their database, and this is very important because it's something that again the modern era has no grasp of, and that is the fact that we actually had to physically communicate using these non-electronical means. Basically, we had to actually physically write on a piece of paper. We had to physically go to the post office and buy stamps and mail things to each other back and forth in order to communicate. I mean, sure, you could pay long distance fees, but I mean, a lot of people are busy during the day. Long distance times also cause time dilations, because if I'm calling from the West Coast and you're going to call them the East Coast, there's a 3-hour difference and things like that. It makes a difference. So a lot of times people just like to write letters, and of course letters at this time was still relatively inexpensive to send a a postcard or a letter and just stick a stamp on it and you're ready to go, right? The other thing that is really kind of nice that I like to go through these letters is sort of explain sort of the things that are happening at this sort of time, which causes people to write these letters. Because again, you got to think, all these people are writing me because they need to get anime, or they're trying to start an anime club, or they heard about something from somebody, or like maybe like a newsletter or some sort of email or something that they might have gotten on the BBS or something like that, and they want to know more information, or they're just trying to get interested in this thing, this very very new thing called anime, and a lot of these letters, because if they're from the 1989, 1990, 1991, you got to remember the first releases of things like Madox 01, Project Eiko, X01, Dangayo, all these type of animes, even on VHS tape, when these commercial companies didn't start hitting the market until 1991. So you gotta think, here these people are really interested in anime, right? But the general public, so that i.e. the people like Suncoast Video and all these major distributors like Blockbusters, for example, they don't have this stuff. But all of a sudden, you can get, and you've seen this, awesome animation stuff, and like, it's the hot topic. But all of a sudden, to be in the know, you have to kind of do the extra little bit of work and actually write these people, and and start trading tapes and things to actually see. Again, this concept of the fact that you just can't go to the internet and just there's no such thing as YouTube and whatnot. So you actually have to physically send a recorded piece of media like an audio cassette or VHS tape to these, back and forth, because that's the only way you're going to hear new music, or even watch a piece of anime, because you actually have to have a physical tape to transfer that recorded medium to each other. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a couple of these ones. I'm going to I'll of course use post notes and that kind of stuff to block out private information, that kind of stuff, and sensitive information, and then you'll just see how diverse some of these messages are, and I just like to do a couple episodes and more of these episodes of this, because again, it's there's this time that where like a lot of times people will say appreciation and say good words, and there's no such thing as a rating star system like they have in Amazon or on eBay or anything like that, right? It's just word of mouth and recommendations from one person to another person, and that's all that drives fansubbers and trading groups and fan clubs at this time, right? So and like the likewise, the flip side is that if anyone has anything to complain about something or another, then that seems to have more spread faster than fire, as it were. So this is my opportunity to kind of set the record straight, and just to show you examples of just how thankful certain people are, and just how many people really do appreciate what the early versions of Fansubbers did at this time. Okay, so without further delay, let's get to some letters. All right. Okay, so I'll start with this first letter, and I'm just gonna because I blanked out the name. This is from a KJ in San Francisco. He starts, thanks for all the tapes. So basically, I guess I already sent him some tapes. What a great list you have. I want almost all of them, but I'll try to restrain myself. So this is like, again, like when you're a new fan of anime, this is almost like going to, kids going to a candy store, because there's just so much stuff. But you want all of it, right? So, it's kind of hard to restrain yourself sometimes with all the goodness that there is. Anyway, he asks, on one of your tapes, you ask why American subtitles don't distribute directly. I didn't exactly know that, but I noticed that direct sources seem difficult to find. To think about it, I'd imagine it's fear for lawsuits. America is lawsuit happy, and having to defend yourself even from ridiculous charges can bankrupt a company, not to mention an individual. In fact, companies now consider lawsuits a legitimate marketing tool. Big companies sue little ones on ridiculous charges just to put them out of business or to tie up their products. Being in a foreign country, it's much more difficult for someone to sue you. And the reason why I mentioned this is because the person, KJ, is actually part of a law firm, which I'll just give the abbreviations B, B, and K, in San Francisco. So this person actually is is working in one of those three named law firms, and he's here he is talking about lawsuits and that kind of stuff. And that is one of the things that as a fansubber and as as a person who's trading lots of tapes and that kind of stuff, that was one of our things that we always had in the back of our mind, that that we are actually contributing to I don't know what you would consider this fair use at all or anything like that. But there was that sort of argument, and there was also, because of the VHS tapes and that kind of stuff, there was this thing called archival backups. But again, because we were distributing them and that kind of stuff, that probably wouldn't apply. But I mean, the legal side of this thing was always a big issue, a contentious issue. But a lot of people did put it aside, and even this person, from a law firm, kind of says, don't worry about it, just send me my tapes. Anyway, so I'll just kind of continue on here. I'm glad that you're out there. You're a wonderful source. Let me know if there's any of your almost finished projects that are done. I'm interested in almost all of them. As future projects, I'm particularly interested in the Orga series, Soul Bianca 2, and the Earth Defense Force. Is there some kind of maximum number of tapes I should request at a time? I want a lot of your stuff, but I don't want to overburden you. And that happens all the time. People just they think, okay, well, is it 4 tapes too many? Is it 10 tapes too many? Is it a box of 20? And you'll see in the next couple of letters, some people do send me some pretty large number of tapes. And he kind of draws an arrow and says, follow up on lawsuits. In fact,
The fear of lawsuits is so great in the anime fandom that I think my address is making it hard for me to make contacts. I can't take packages at my apartment, so I have to send them to work. I work at a law firm doing WordPerfect support slash, desktop publishing. So I mean, literally, he works at a law firm, and and like that's the you think, geez, you're supposed to be sending tapes to this guy. This is he actually works at a law firm. So it's kind of interesting. So and so he continues to place his order, and you can see he's ordering Golf Force Earth Chapter 2 and 3 because we subbed all the Golf Forces before Central Park Media actually licensed it later on. We gave setting up an Orange Road movie. We got the Aerial, the OVA. We also have Soul Bianca, the first OVA series, and Gundam 0080. The rest of the conclusion of that OVA series, and the second tape of Maison Ikkaku. All right. So so this was 1991. So again, this is at a time where none of this stuff is available, and as I said, just things like maybe Denko or Project Acorn just showing up on the shelves, and even Blockbusters doesn't even know what to do with these things, right? So again, this is like you have getting something that's kind of like the upcoming new thing at a timely time where you're getting it before the actual industry's getting it, kind of that sneak peek kind of thing. So it's kind of really exciting stuff. Anyway, you may also note that he wrote the entire letter on this really bright fluorescent green paper. I mean, this stuff you can hold it across the room and you can see it all the way across the room. This is so like literally bright paper. And not to include that, his handwriting is really, really nice. I mean, it's legible, and he, you can tell that he even like puts those, those curves on like the F's and the P's, and he just puts that little kind of little curl on the U's and that kind of stuff. So really, really nice penmanship on this guy. But yeah, so a really interesting request from this one. And it's just the fact that even interesting that again, he's from this particular law firm in San Francisco. So that's one of the letters I got from that back in '91. On to the next letter. So I got also another letter back later on from KJ, and so now he's got it on this hot pink fluorescent color here thing. Again, this is like, I mean, this is even hard to hold that at eye length and actually read because it's just so bright and flashy. Okay, again, it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but I mean, but you can definitely tell it's like a hot pink. And again, you can see this from like across the room. I mean, this is like really. But anyway, he writes, "Thanks to the tapes, I particularly enjoyed Patlabor, the TV series. Have you subbed any more Patlabor?" And so I guess we're just starting to begin the Patlabor OVA series and TV series. Now, the way that we did it was we did it the same way that the lasers were sort of formatted. It's every laserdisc had one of the P series OVAs, and then basically 3 episodes of the actual TV series. And usually the OVA was sort of had to do something with one of the episodes in the TV series, and vice versa. For example, the crocodile episode and all that kind of stuff was sort of like listed that way. Anyway. But we did end up eventually doing all the P series OVAs and all the Patlabor TV series and both of the movies. Are you still planning to do Orgus? U.S. Renditions is doing it, but they're dubbing it, which is true. Like a lot of the early animes that came out, I guess they were like either subtitled only, like Maddox and Dengayo, for example. But then there's other companies like U.S. Renditions. They'll like to dub everything, and so one of the things that they were going to dub is the Orgus series, and at this time they weren't hiring quality voice actors or anything like that. They were they didn't care about the original content and that kind of stuff. So they were really scrambling things around. They're trying to Americanize it. They're just trying to improvise, just fill in jokes and things like that, just to make it sort of work, right? And even cut stuff out, right? So that's why at this time a lot of fandom didn't like dubs, just because they weren't a true representation, or they were some sort of bastardization of the actual real anime. Okay. Again, so he orders Gundam 008 1 to 4, Maison Kaku tape 3, and Maison Kaku tape 4. Um, Enclosed for no good reason is a flyer from our group. So again, we're trading information, we're trading flyers. So it's always good to get flyers from other groups and that kind of stuff, because then that way I know who else I might be able to send the letter to. Maybe they got affiliations, and maybe they got some addresses and that kind of stuff. I can send stuff to them. Hopefully, maybe get some more tape trades and that kind of stuff with. I must have sent him a copy of one, because I said I can see I have prototype 7. Must have sent him a copy of it. So he said prototype 7 was really good. Great design work by William Jang. And again, William Jang is one of our the editor at that time, was doing the put together of that kind of stuff. He also helped us set up our bulletin board system, the RPBS. And later on, he went down to San Diego Comic Con with us and got to work on one of the Robotech comics. Thanks for the back issues, and I really enjoyed the Orange Road manga translation. So again, one of the issues of the prototype generation magazines that we had actually had some Orange Road manga. Okay. He also continues, your experience with that people order soundtracks for an anime they haven't seen. You bet. I do that all the time. I find that shows, the soundtracks are two different things. A lousy show may have a great soundtrack, and vice versa. Also, anime soundtracks have gotten me into Japanese pop music. Okay, so that's just true with me, because at this time, late 80s and beginning of the 90s, I was getting out of the, I grew up in the, the MTV 80s rock generation, and when the 90s sort of kind of came, I really didn't like a lot of the music that was sort of coming out in the 90s, and that's just the era of the grunge and and that kind of stuff was starting to come out. And again, I didn't really like that kind of stuff, so I faded away from North American pop music and concentrated more on the European stuff, and then I really got really heavily into the Japanese stuff. And he writes, my favorite is Noriko. Yeah, like Noriko Sakai. It's great. Other goodies like Kumi Miyatsu, which is the Megaton 23 chick. Velvet Pow, Wink, which is another one of those all girl type of things, and Hikaru Ishida. Okay. So again, it's an indication that not only do we talk about anime, the Japanese animations kind of stuff, but we also talk about Japanese J-pop and music, because again, a lot of those things are in the things. And again, we're not only just trading video cassettes and that kind of stuff, we also can trade audio cassettes and that kind of stuff. Okay, again, 1991, so we're in that era where we're again before Windows 95. Again, before the time of the CDR burners and that kind of stuff, so we couldn't actually even copy and trade CDs or anything like that. So yeah, audio tapes and analog VHS tapes were the way to go. Okay, so the next one I've got is this an actual postcard, and you can see it's an anime postcard for Maison Kaku with this picture of Kyoko here, and this is an actual aesthetic kitty animation circle postcard that the person sent me. And so flip it over, and it comes into a little letter. It's written by a Mike Lowe from Marina Del Rey, California. Okay, and the postmark on it is 1991. And he writes, in Peter's core letter, so he was referring to Peter Payne. He writes a fanzine called the Orange Roadies. It's basically a fanzine for all fans of Orange Road. And I guess Peter in this particular issue writes an article about how Arctic Animation has done all the Fansubs for all of Orange Road. He mentioned that you're doing the subtitles for the Orange Road episodes. How's that effort going? And again, we've subtitled all the core TV show, the OVAs, and the movie, of course. And he goes, what is the availability of the subtitled episodes? Let me know. The details and other scripts available. So again, he needs to get information on how to get his hands on this, because again, a lot of times you just only find out a little bit of information. Hear a rumor or maybe a little bit of an email or something, and then you have to basically write a small letter, or this postcard, for example, to get information, right? And then what I'd do is I'd I'd send him a package on basically our list of various episodes and instructions on how to get anime from us. Also, I heard that you're also doing Maison Akaku. Of course, once we finished Orange Road, we went on and did the fan subs for Maison Akaku. Please let me know about that too. With the last part of the core OVAs, which is the Mukitate OVAs, being released this year, it looks like the end. Looks like the end. And if any more core videos, I hope not, though. And of course, after the Mukitate OVAs, they made, of course, the Orange Road movie, which finished everything off. Okay, and so yes, this is what quick little letter from that, and it shows that what usually happens is people find out just little tidbits information, just because that information is very slow coming. There isn't quote the internet the same way as we know it now, where information is very available, right? It's all sort of localized pockets of information, and then the only other kind of information you'd find out is from things like newsletters or word of mouth or bulletin board systems, that kind of stuff, BBSs, things maybe like FidoNet, and of course their version of the internet, which is usually like recarts.anime, for example. Okay, and that's how we'd had to communicate. Okay, so the next letter is from a TK, okay, from Cambridge, Massachusetts. And he writes from Harvard. Okay. Now again, the one thing that I mentioned beforehand is that the only way to sometimes get some of the information from the internet and whatnot is that you really had to be part of a school. Okay, so in this case it's harvard.edu, or you'd have to be part of a government installation. So for example, nasa.gov. Okay, for example. Or you had to basically be like a big business or something, like like a Microsoft or an Apple or something, and then you'd have an address associated to that. Okay, but anyway, so this guy writes from this letter. Please send the following. Enclosed are enough tapes, I think, and enough enough for postage. If there's anything over the postage cost, consider it a donation. I'm not rich, but I feel that you guys deserve more of my money for the work that you do. And again, I don't ask for very much. Okay, it's $5 for a video cassette, which is the typical sort of going price for a VHS video cassette, and $5 postage, which basically to take a video cassette, put it into a mailer, and then send it. So it's very reasonable. I remember when I went to the San Diego Comic-Con, people were like bootleggers were charging like $20 for a video cassette. So, I didn't want to be like that, and that's one of the unwritten codes for being a fan subber. And maybe I'll get into an episode about some of those things that that fan subbers try to aim to do. So yeah, I don't. It's just when someone actually actually gives me a little extra, it's great, because there's a lot of things like maintenance that we have to do with the VCRs, and of course there's of course the cost of actually trying to get the laserdiscs from Japan over here to make new episodes. So obviously it's a big cost as well. Anyway, continue along here. One thing I was wondering if you could maybe send the tapes a little more quickly than one every 2 weeks, since that would be about 5 months. And yeah, you're right. I mean, he makes a point on there that it does take real time to dub these videos and to send them back to him. So for example, in this case, I know I sent him a whole series of Orange Road. Okay, 48 episodes, roughly 30 minutes each episode, 12 video cassettes, around 2 hours on each video cassette, right? So 24 hours. There is no shorter time that you can be done to do that. Okay, there's no like quick dubbing, there's no like drag and drop or anything like that. No. These are all analog recording methods. So if it takes like if there's 24 hours worth of Orange Road, that needs to be recorded, it takes 24 hours to replay those episodes and to record all those episodes again. So someone's gonna be sitting there changing the tapes or whatnot once every 2 hours or whatever, to be able to basically dub all those cassettes, and then again also spend the time to wrap them, take them down to the post office, pay for postage, and then get them sent out, right? So it's it's a time consuming task, and again, um, you know, uh, it's a labor of love at this time, right? So it's it's definitely something that was very hard, but also at the same time very rewarding, because I said this is the only way that we had to do things, and had to give out in order for for us to be able to spread this thing called anime, because as I said, otherwise there really wasn't any real way to do it, right?
The thing I wanted to point out is that on this little letter that he wrote on this one side, if you flip to the back of it, okay, it's actually question 10 of a chemistry exam, okay? And I'll go on with the story with that one.
Okay, so now that you can see that this letter is has this question on the back of it, the story basically goes like this. I sent TK his Orange Road tapes, and he ordered the entire set, all 48 episodes of Orange Road. So basically, about at least 24 hours worth of video content there. And it arrived on a Friday, okay, and on the Monday he had this chemistry midterm that he had to do. So you can see what the conundrum is. It's like, okay, I've got all this brand new Orange Road anime, or I can sit there and study for this exam on Monday. Anime, exam. Well, you can kind of guess what he did. He kind of said, screw it, I'm going to watch anime. So he basically binged on all the episodes of Orange Road, like all weekend. And so when he got the time to do his exam, he went to the exam and kind of looked at the exam and went like, oh well, I don't know what I'm doing. So he just kind of said, screw it. And so basically he started writing this letter in response back to me to order some more tapes and that kind of stuff and whatnot. And and he called me and told me that he basically was doing this, he's going to send me another letter, and he told me that he just got all these Orange Road episodes, and he watched like the entire thing instead of studying, and and basically said, I probably failed that exam, so it's like whatever. So anyway, and so what he did is basically during the exam he just basically went to the last page, question number 10 here, and he just basically started writing this next letter to me, and so you see that sometimes the love for anime is just some of one of life's sacrifices, I guess. Okay, so that's the interesting story that I have for this one there. I do believe TK did eventually pass that chemistry, so none worse to wear. Okay, so the next letter I have is from a G Woo out of Oakland, California. Just sending 5 more tapes to you to take advantage of the offer you're giving non-Japanese speaking anime fans, specifically non-Japanese speaking Maison Ikkaku fans. So obviously this is obviously a Maison Ikkaku fan who's really happy that I'm doing the subtitles for Maison. I really enjoyed the subtitling that you did for Maison Ikkaku. It was done very well, and in terms of dubbing quality, it was great. How did you obtain such great copies of Maison Ikkaku? And again, he's referring to the fact that, generally speaking, in order to, spread anime, you have to basically make copies of your tapes and send them to other people so that other people have copies to see. Every time you make a copy of something, you're slightly degrading the quality of the copy, because, it's not an exact copy. It's just sort of an analog duplication of it. So you're going to lose a little bit of picture signal strength. You're going to lose a bit of color. The audio may not be as nice, tracking and things like that all happen. So it's not as good a copy. So we tried as Fansubs to try to get the best quality copy available. Okay. Whenever, for example, like the Maison Ikkaku, we would try to get the laser discs to work with, because that's about as clean as the copies that we had access to at that time. I know sometimes with some series like Miracle Girls, Hime-chan's Ribbon, Red Riding Cha-Cha, we subtitled them straight off of the TV tapes. Okay, so the quality wasn't all that great because they're just TV recordings, that we rented from like Iwase bookstore or something, right? So sometimes the quality wasn't as good, but it was about as good as we could get for what we got, right? But sometimes we'd subtitle off of that just because speed was of the essence, right? These are new shows that people know about and they're interested in, and they just can't wait for commercial companies to hurry up and pick these up, because the time lagging difference was just really, really great. For example, Ixir 1 came out in 1985. These titles didn't arrive, and hit our shores until like 6 years later. So I mean, this is like, so as an anime fan, you knew Ixir 1 existed. You knew it came out, but now, it actually will show up on your shelf at Blockbusters or Suncoast Video or whatever. 6 years from now, right? So a lot of people didn't want to wait, so they'll get a copy of it, and then when the 6 years comes up, and when it actually comes out on cassette tape or whatever, then now they'll have a way to replace their overdubbed copy with a fresh, new, good looking, good quality copy that they can go buy. Granted, of course, it was really expensive. Like, we're talking $40-$50 for like the 30-minute episode of Ixir 1, for example. It was pretty expensive, right? Anyway, so he writes, the dubs that I received were really good, or incredibly good. Something lacking in my anime collection, Grin, which is basically saying that most of the stuff that people dub from tape to tape and stuff is usually pretty horrible, right? So once you dub it too many times, the quality is pretty sucky. Yeah, and it says, I haven't closed the amount of $25 to cover shipping, handling charges in the envelope inside the box. So basically, this is one of the situations where a person sends their own tapes. So obviously they went to wherever they buy tapes, Costco or or whatnot, Food Shop, or even just their standard store like Fred Meyer's or whatever. And they buy their tapes there, and they basically ship them to me, and give me some return postage to ship them back, and that's perfectly fine. And this is a very typical letter for people asking for and ordering various different tapes from me. Okay, I hope you found that kind of interesting. It's different kind of time, a different kind of an era on what we have to go through at this time to get anime and to trade anime with each other, and even just to talk to each other. This is much different than what we have now. The convenience of technology has really helped us within this genre, in some ways anyway. All right, so again, don't forget to hit subscribe and like, and then we get more of these episodes when I make them, and of course I'll have more things to show you in the next couple episodes. Okay, so until next time, see you again.